I had this thing that for my 21st birthday, I was going to go to Vegas, take a few of my close mates over there and stuff, and I was basically just going to, have one last hurrah. And I was just going to go so hard that, hopefully I'd just die. I didn't know, like OD over there or something, or just, I don't know, shoot myself. So yeah, I wanted to go to Vegas and die there. Yeah. I used to see other kids at school and I think, man, watch their dads come and pick them up or something, and it's like, wow, I wonder where mine is. Never really had him around, but I met him when I was a kid. But I think I remember the first time I actually saw him, but I didn't know who he was. He was crying, it was weird almost, yeah. But one of the first experiences I had with him, I was only 5, 6, maybe 7. And we were sitting on the couch and he was drinking beer and he gave me like a sip of his beer. I was like, oh, okay. So I think that was like when I first really got introduced to any sort of substance. Mum got married, Dad got married. So I was sort of jumping between homes, Most of the time I was with Mum. Me and my brother, yeah, we'd go up and see Dad every few weeks or so. Like, first drink I remember having, I was about 6, 7. Pretty sure Dad whipped out like a Vegemite jar and just like filled it with beer and was like, here you go. I was like, sweet. And then I remember seeing Dad smoking a cigarette one day and I was like, oh, what's that like? He's like, you want to try it? And I was like, yeah. And I blew on it and all the ash went in my eyes and I was like, ah. But then, like, pretty much a year later, I was smoking them with him, going up and bumming drags up at him and stuff, By the time I was about 11, I was smoking heaps of weed, I was introduced to like pornography and stuff like that. And at a young age, it's sort of, being exposed to stuff like that sort of twists your head a bit, So I went off to do some not so savvy things when I was a kid, like experimenting sexually, with other kids and stuff, and just like, just wasn't good. It was different. Sometimes, it was all right, like, it wouldn't be so bad, but there was times where we'd do a lot of drinking and, I was only a kid, so I didn't know any different, and chasing what I wanted to be was my dad, I looked up to him. Even he wasn't the best example sometimes, but I guess he did all he knew how to do from what he'd been shown, I guess. He's a good guy. Still, he's a good guy. But we all have our problems and stuff like that. So I hit high school and I was basically, I was drinking and smoking like at school. Pretty much every recess and lunch. And then, I was smoking weed by the time I was 11. So I brought that into high school as well. By the time I was 15, I was just full-blown stoner, constantly high. Hiding all this from my mum at the same time, she thought I was just a good little Christian kid. So I guess from a young age, I sort of knew about God and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like I said, my views were twisted, because on one side of the fence I was drinking and smoking and doing all that right, but on the other side I was going to church and yeah, I didn't really know where I sat. And by the time I was probably about 16 years old, I think I sort of tried to make my mind up, I guess, and I just went with the party lifestyle. I wanted to just get high all the time, and it was taking an effect on me mentally, and I started getting real angry. I just used to come home and like abuse my mum, like scream at her and my brother, and she had 2 little kids by this point. So, you know, I have another little brother and sister, and they used to just see, you know, me come home high and just get angry at them and scream at them if they were making noise and stuff. I didn't really want my family to be around me like that, you know. I didn't want them to see me, you know, angry. I didn't want those kids to see me angry or anything like that, because, you know, they're sponges, and I knew this. I knew that they were like just absorbing everything that I was coming home with, and I didn't want to be around them. I didn't want to put that on those kids, you know, and I just felt like a burden at home. You know, I was just always fighting, arguing. I just didn't want to do it anymore, so I left home when I was about 16, and yeah, I moved in with this dealer that I knew. Started sleeping on his couch, and yeah, before I knew it, I was hooked on meth. By the age of 16, you know, I was smoking meth every day, which just yeah, was just crap. I don't know how, but I sort of pulled myself out of it, and then I guess I came around and was like, this isn't good, you know. So by the time I was 17, I just went full cold turkey off of everything. I stopped smoking, stopped drinking, quit, you know, all the weed and meth and everything, and I just went home for a while. Moved back in, you know, was trying to, I don't know, I guess I was trying the other side of the fence at this point. So I started going to church a lot more. Yeah, I was actually going twice every Sunday, and I was loving it. I was loving every second of it. I don't know, like you start singing and, you know, praising the Lord and all that sort of stuff, and you get this mad rush, you know. I just call it the Holy Spirit, just, you know, hits you, and it's like, whoa, you know, like a ton of bricks. And then, yeah, I don't know, for me it was like, I got to a point where I was rocking up in church just for that. I didn't care about anything else. It was just a feel good. Yeah, it was like a rush. It was like a real intense rush, and I was just like, whoa, you know. And I didn't need drugs to get it. That was a weird thing. You know, I was like, yeah, I love this. You know, I don't have to go out and get high because I'm just feeling it awesome in this church, you know, and like, yeah. But it stopped. It just stopped. Yeah, and I just had enough. I was like, no, if I'm not going to feel it, you know, I was basically like a junkie. I was just like, no, I don't want it. If it's not going to do anything, I don't want it. So I just left, stopped going to church again, and within a week I was just back on meth. I just got confused. I think, you know, just angry, something. And I used to lash out a lot. I was pretty lost at this point. You know, I didn't really know what my life had in store. I was like, yeah, I want to be something. So I sort of, you know, started hanging out with some mates that I knew from way back, that I grew up with. I started making a bit of music. I started making hip hop and all that sort of stuff, which I love. I still love it, you know. Yeah, so I started writing a bit of music, and, you know, found I had this talent to write. That, you know, I love poetry, so, you know, I started writing all these rhymes, and then I basically just started like, rapping them, I guess. And then, yeah, I found that I could just release in that way, you know, these things that had happened during my childhood, I could, you know, vent out, and all my stress and anger and anxiety, I could just put it on the page and let it go. And yeah, that was all right for a bit. Yeah, I started getting real depressed. I think it was just like I felt like I was not going anywhere. You know, I felt real stagnant in where I was working, and so I ended up quitting my job and just like smoking heaps of weed every day, trying to sell that to make money, which just wasn't working because I was just basically smoking everything I bought. And yeah, I moved in with another friend, and I got another job at a cafe. I was working there for a while, and yeah, that was all right. It was a good gig. You know, I enjoyed the people, I enjoyed the the place, you know, it was good. And it was close to where I was staying. It's only 2 blocks away. So I was supposed to finish work at about 2, and she's like, oh, can you cover my 4:30 shift? I was like, yeah, sure. So I was walking home at about 4:30 in the afternoon, yeah. And I seen this bloke and his missus walking towards me with a pram. I didn't think anything of it, you know. And he sort of like walked behind this pram, and I still wasn't thinking. I just wanted to go home and have a beer, you know. So I just want to chill out. But yeah, she just like, as I went across the road, she legged it down the street with the pram, and he's just walked straight up to me, and I was like, oh, hey mate. He's like, oh, what's your name? I just said, Aussie. He's like, what's your name? Aussie, and then just cracked me over the head with a hammer. Yeah, shattered my zygomatic arch, and yeah, just like rocked me and chucked me on the ground. I was just on the ground like, what the heck just happened, you know? My ears were ringing. I just sort of like looked up, and he just bent down and like had a pack of cigarettes on me I'd just bought, and he just grabbed them and ran. So this guy nearly just killed me for a packet of cigarettes. You know, half an inch higher, I would have probably died straight away. Half inch lower, I probably would have lost a bunch of teeth, but I was pretty lucky he actually got me where he did. So, but after that, I ended up with post-traumatic stress, and you know, I was doing heaps of drugs and drinking every night just to sort of, I guess, cope, because I was just losing it all the time. I was constantly convinced someone was trying to kill me, or, you know, I couldn't sleep at night because I thought someone was going to come in my room and, you know, smash me over the head or something, you know. I was just freaking out constantly. So my abuse for drugs and alcohol got worse. I remember one night I was coming down off of some pills that I took, and I didn't know what else to do, so I just ended up on my knees in the backyard, crying, looking at the sky, and I just started praying. I just said, God, I need your help, you know, if you're there, you know, if you love me, I need help. Yeah, I felt that feeling again that I used to feel. Yeah, it was different. Yeah, it was different this time. My perception of myself and what I'd done, you know, in my past, and all the things I'd sort of tried to get away from, and all the mess I'd made of my life. I didn't think that being myself was going to get me anywhere, because I thought I wasn't a good person. You know, I thought I didn't have anything going for who I was, so I just basically buried myself and put on this mask and portrayed this image of, you know, something I wasn't, just to maybe get somewhere, you know, but it didn't get me anywhere. It got me very lost and quite broken. I just slowly started meeting old friends again. Ended up just like going out with some mates and drinking. I never had the intention of getting back on drugs or anything, but as it goes, I did. I just ended up slowly mingling with that old crowd again, and yeah, just started smoking weed again, you know. And yeah, I never really found a job, so I just started selling. I was just selling drugs just to make money. I got pretty good at it, so I made a bit of money, enough to keep myself going for a while. Moved in with my brother, so he had a flat, and I moved in there. I was a bit better mentally, a little bit, but I was still, you know, carrying all this stuff in my head, you know. I didn't want to feel anything. You know, I just wanted to be numb all the time, so, you know, I just, smoked copious amounts of weed and started doing heaps of Xanax and drinking every night again, just to sort of feel like I wasn't around. You know, I just wanted to be somewhere else. I didn't want to have to deal with my life, doing anything to not feel like me, because I didn't like feeling like me. I sort of tried to just bury me in everything I was doing, and I didn't want to be vulnerable, I guess. I didn't want people to see who I was. I didn't want people to know about me. I hated myself, yeah. I hated who I was. You know, I used to take that into relationships with people, and, you know, I've had a few relationships just crap. I couldn't actually hold a relationship because I was so broken, and I was just convinced that someone couldn't love me, because I couldn't love myself. I actually just couldn't love myself. I hated everything about myself. I used to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and just go, I hate you. You know, what, you just need to die. Like, I was lost. You know, my mum used to come to the flat where me and my brother were, and we weren't living the best, so she'd try and come and clean up and stuff like that, and I'd just start screaming at her. You know, she'd bring the kids around, and I had drugs in the house, and yeah, it was pretty crap. I'd just lose it at her, you know, start screaming at her, and you know, she was just trying to help, but I didn't want her to help because I'd sort of done it to myself, and I didn't want her to come clean my mess. I drove like a few Ks to my mum's place, and she just took one look at me and was like, oh, we got to talk tomorrow. So that's what I was like, okay. Yeah, I know it wasn't really. It wasn't go home and, oh, I'll help you this time, you know. She just wasn't having a bar of it. Basically, her words was like, I just can't do this anymore, you know. I just can't watch you destroy yourself anymore. So I went to bed and woke up the next day, and she just said, all right, you got two choices. You can either go and be homeless in your car, do whatever, and die on the side of the road, you know, or you can, you know, call Shalom. So I ended up calling Shalom, and basically, yeah, I got a hold of him, and I said, all right, well, you got half an hour to sort out getting over here. And I had no money or anything, and I was just freaking out. So I sat down with my mum and her friend, and we just prayed. That's all we did, we just prayed. And then within 15 minutes, I had like $2,700 in my bank. I had a plane ticket booked, and I was in Perth that night. And I went into Shalom. And yeah, my life has changed dramatically ever since. You know, I've been sober now 18 months, which is the longest I've been sober since I was a little kid. It feels good, you know. It feels good to not have, you know, that cloud constantly covering me. And I don't want to wear a mask anymore. I don't want, you know, I don't want to portray something that I'm not. And it's hard. It's really hard sometimes. It's really worth it, you know. I don't want to go back to that. You know, actually, I learned to love myself. I learned to look in the mirror instead of going, I hate you. I can now look in the mirror and go, I love you. Like, I love this guy, you know, like. My mum used to tell me, actually, she used to say, where's that little boy gone, you know, where's my boy gone? And I used to look at her and go, Mum, that boy died. Yeah, that little boy's dead, Mum. But he's not dead. He was just hiding. I was almost scared to face that little boy inside me. Because, I don't know, things that I did growing up, just, I thought I'd made a lot of bad choices, but I didn't know that the choices that I'd made were going to define who I was. And now rather than trying to forget that, I look back at it and I take it as lessons. And I have to grow from that. I have to take that and go, yeah, I did that, you know. And I've learned a lot from looking back now. That's one of the main things, is looking at my past and not trying to forget it anymore. I look at my past now and I embrace it, you know, because it's made me who I am. I gave my life to Jesus again, and things just started changing, you know. I got my family back. You know, I lost a lot, but it wasn't for the worse, you know. The things that I lost weren't the best for me. Straight up, God's grace is just sufficient. So, like, the amount of stuff I've done, I've hurt so many people, destroyed, you know, relationships. I don't know, but God's grace just, I shouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for His grace. You know, everything now because of the covering of His grace. I have my family back, you know. I've got old friends back, you know. The other day, my dad was asking me questions about the Bible, and I just sat down and talked to him about it, and now he's reading it, you know. To see him now getting into that word, that's a, you know, it's a thing that changed me. My mum called me one day and she said, Oz, you don't realise the effect you're having on people. You don't even know. You know, you're changing people's lives. You don't even know, just by changing your own life. And I think that's, how is this possible? But, you know, I think God uses us in ways sometimes we don't even, you know, I can't even, you know, just, yeah, it's weird. It's hard to explain, but. Yeah, Jesus to me is just like, I don't know, man. Yeah, without him I wouldn't be here. You know, there's times where I was that close to being gone, you know. I don't know how I'm here right now. I should be dead, to be honest with you. Like, I should be dead. You know, the amount of drugs I used to do and just things you're not supposed to mix together and, you know, wake up, like, and I would wake up. Yeah, it was just like, wow, how am I still here? But I think He's got plans for me to use me somehow, you know, in some way. I don't know if it's to help anyone or if, you know, it's just to be a light to this world. But yeah, God's my daddy. You know, He's my daddy. That daddy I never had. I remember once actually I was going through some prayer ministry with a friend, and they said we were unpacking something from when I was a little kid, and I was really lonely. I was alone and I was sitting in my room on my bed, and they said, so where do you see God in that moment? And I closed my eyes and this vision popped in my head, and He's sitting right next to me.